Thank you, everyone, for joining the Lightning Talk. Uh, Mansoor Aleem, I'm actually Managing Director, Data and AI and Applications at Insight Global. Really appreciate the opportunity to host. Just in case you all are wondering, the swag on the chairs, that's not chocolate. It's seeds that you have to plant, so just be aware. Looks like chocolate, looks like candy, but it's not. All right, so we're going to talk about generative AI and advanced machine learning in telecom. We do a lot of work in that space, so we're going to share some interesting use cases with you all. But just generally speaking, we're going to talk about what's trending in the industry, in the telecom sector, and what our customers are doing with generative AI. So, one of the biggest opportunities generative AI offers is to augment human creativity and overcome the challenges of democratizing innovation, basically. Every industry is innovating. There's a lot of interesting generative AI use cases, and there's a lot of democratization of data. With products like Databricks, companies are building all kinds of solutions in generative AI. So, oops. All right, yeah. So the future of Gen AI, there's obviously some key metrics from our industry research and our point of view, what we've done, as far as enabling technology innovation in the telecom sector. So, the market outlook for Gen AI, it could add 2.6 trillion GDP to 4.4 trillion GDP by 2040. It's driving automation. So current Gen AI and other technologies have the potential to automate 70% of work activities that, absorb quite a bit employee productivity today by 2040. So that's a big one. Productivity, Gen AI could boost workforce productivity by 0.1% to 0.6% in the next decade and a half. 70% of value that Gen AI use cases deliver falls across and within the telecom sector across core areas like customer operations, marketing, sales, software engineering, and research and development. So we're seeing that today with our telecom customers. From a user experience standpoint, by 2026, we see that generative design AI will automate 60% of the design efforts for online collateral, websites, mobile apps, and even internal apps. From an application development standpoint, nearly 50% of the apps that are, will be automatically generated by Gen AI's tools, basically, without humans being involved at all by 2027. So there's a lot of innovation in that space, in the application development space. Enterprise space, 40% of enterprise applications will have embedded conversational AI components, chatbots, in mobile apps, as an example. Testing will be automated using generative AI tools. 30% of the enterprises will have already implemented an AI augmented development and testing strategy in place. Sorry, forgot to shut my Teams down. Robotics and AI, and by 2026, over 100 million humans will engage with robo-colleagues contributing to their work. You already see Copilot today in all of the Microsoft Office suite, and most people are using that to, improve productivity via emails, Excel, PowerPoint, and a variety of other tools. So, all of this innovation is happening today in telecom, and this is where we see the future of Gen AI in telecom. So we're gonna jump into some use cases that we're seeing, leading use cases in the Gen AI space with our customers. We're gonna start with the customer care. This is a high return on investment use case, mostly around agent assist, call center operations, outbound, inbound, just to resolve issues faster, empower agents with better information using AI. um, and obviously reduce attrition, uh, provide contextual input to agents using AI just to help provide better customer experience and improve retention. So we're seeing a lot of that with our call centers, outbound, inbound, contact centers. A lot of generative AI use cases there. But this is a big one in the telecom sector. Um, um, Network optimization is another high ROI use case, purely around helping with site selection. Uh, Telecom operators, do a lot of due diligence when doing site planning, and so using Gen AI to identify the right optimal locations based on internal and external data, that's a big use case. Identifying patterns to proactively predict network and equipment failure, and then initiate proactive measures is another big one. In the past, it was predictive maintenance using traditional data science models. But now with generative AI, there's a lot more potential to do real-time monitoring, real-time predictions, and real-time identification of patterns across networks, across equipments, where we actually have a production um, implementation that we've done with our customers in this space, large telco operator. And then proactively, automating alerts, fraudulent network activity, proactively detecting it on the network and identifying and alerting the security teams. That's another big ROI use case that we see under the network optimization umbrella in the telecom industry. R&D and engineering, this is a big one. Obviously, all industries are investing in accelerating engineering efforts, research and development. Specifically in telecom, slicing and dicing internal information to draw insights. Obviously, creates better products, new products. So our customers doing that today using generative AI. Creating new avenues for marketing. That's a big one. Using external, internal data, competitor data, customer data, and then identifying opportunities from that. Enabling and enhancing natural language processing capability, that's a big one for R&D. And basically creating hyper-personalization for end customers, for telecom customers. That's another one. Automating manual work across R&D, development, engineering, and then finally automation with software development, data engineering, AI engineering, data science, data modeling, all of that using tools to automate code generation, testing, and deployment is another very big use case. A lot of telecom customers are asking us about, how do we create AI-assisted tools and solutions to accelerate development? And so that's a big one in the engineering arena with telecom customers. Sales and marketing. So this is another high ROI use case, creating personalized offerings for our customers, through the different marketing channels, getting more insights about the customer, being able to do better segmentation, using historic data, patterns of data, and then obviously being able to look at large data sets. Again, using large language models, because you can only do that with generative AI. Identifying best channels to distribute products and services, building a personalized marketplace is a good example of this use case. So, creating more effective marketing campaigns, all of that within the sales and marketing function, drives a lot of top line growth for companies, for telecom companies. So this is a pretty important area for investing, for our customers. And then finally, I'm just going to jump into the 10-step framework for executing our approach on how Gen AI should be deployed across an organization. We've done this execution at our telecom customers today, one of the largest in the US globally. And basically, this is just identifying the approach, the 10 steps that you have to take as an organization to implement, execute the use cases, generative AI use cases. You start with defining those use cases. You then get into prioritization of those use cases. Obviously, you have to allocate funding, identifying the right stakeholders, whether it's supply chain, marketing, finance, procurement of the data, working with your IT organizations to procure the right data sets. Because again, in any generative AI implementation, you need to have your fundamentals built, and you have to have your data procured, basically, in order for generative AI to be productive, or your large language model to be productive, right? And then you deploy and iterate, basically. There's an iteration process to this. You have to continue to train your large language models, your custom models. You have to tune those models, and then you operationalize those models in production, basically. Oops, sorry. Data validation is very important, because there's a lot of, mid-tier data. From a data quality standpoint, you don't have always the best data to deal with. So data validation is an important part of this process as well, right? So, but I've color-coded, basically, we've color-coded where we spend most of the time in this 10-step approach. As you can see, 50% of time is spent procuring data and cleansing that data, validating that data, while 30% is on the model validation, development, and deployment. And then another 20% is spent on the initial identification and the prioritization of the use cases. So this, is this is a 10-step process for most Gen AI models in production. The data procurement validation is the most time-consuming step because of all the disparate data, like I said. Once the data is collected and prepared, the model is built and evaluated, and then the model is continuously iterated over time, and your large language model, in this case, would continue to get trained and grow smarter. It's basically a brain, an artificial intelligence system that's growing over time, right? And then you have iterative feedback from your users, your power users across the organization who feed back into that loop. So in the keynote, Databricks announced some of the tools that they have as part of their capability. And so this approach actually aligns well to what the Databricks features are from a tooling standpoint, building the tools, building the functions, and being able to validate the models and iterate through the models using some of the features that Databricks has. All right, well, thank you very much for joining my session. Appreciate it.